Yo, what is good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first part of What If Deku was Tengen Uzui or had sound breathing. Let's go. I hope you guys do enjoy this. Wasn't just me, Crown Fiend helped me out a lot in this one, so we both put a lot of effort into this series, so please make sure you show that you appreciate it. If you don't, then well, that's fine. That's all good. But anyway, yeah, hope you guys do really enjoy this part. If you do, be sure to like, subscribe, all that jazz. And yeah, just remember all the music down in the description. Saint, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a Samuel Kilman thing down in the description as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, just remember, God is awesome, you guys are too. And let's just get straight into this epic what if. Alright, before we start this kind of part up and get into the actual story, just gotta alliterate, this is a, UA is a college or a university, just because it will make more sense later on when you find out. But it will just make sense and be better on my conscience if this is a college and not just a high school. So yeah, that's pretty much that. And let's just get straight into the story. Back in the older times, the Taisho period, and earlier than that, there were such things called demons. They would go to different villages and towns to eat people, and it didn't matter who those people were. They would become a demon's little snack. These demons even had a top hierarchy called the 12 Moons. They were the strongest demons of all, led by the king of the demons called Muzan Kibuchichi. But there were also people trained to defeat these said demons. These people were called demon slayers, and among them were the strongest, called the Pillars or the Hashira. The strongest demon slayers of all. And your ancestor, Tengen Uzui, was one of those pillars. He, and along with some of his disciples and kind of friends, fought against these two demons who were joined together as the 6 upper moon, and they defeated them. You, my young little Izuku, have a good lineage and strong blood running through your veins. I want you to try and be like your ancestor. Be strong and never lower yourself. Be the best, and I know you will do great in life. A woman with green hair explains, talking to a young boy around the age of 5 with white hair and large red eyes. Izuku Uzui. But, Mum, how do I become someone like him? He questions. Work hard, my son, and never give up. After the end of Muzan Kibuchichi, all the demons died out, except for 2 who didn't try to murder people and eat them. One of them was a cat. Due to the sudden rise of population and less deaths around Japan due to no demons being around, a new society bloomed with technology, and different cultures arrived to the land. Seeing that society around them was growing and their way was dying out, a majority of the shinobi in the clan wanted to leave their way of life and live in a different environment and around more people in a more prosperous and happy kind of lifestyle. This ended up becoming a gigantic dispute between two opposing sides of the clan. Those who want to leave the village and those who want to stay. The two sides were led by two brothers, descendants of Tengen Uzui himself, as they settled the dispute with a fight to the death. The fight was long and hard, but having the slight edge and rebelling having the slight edge, the rebelling younger brother took victory, disarming his elder brother. The other brother knelt there, ready for his demise, but it never came. His brother had spared his life, as the majority of the clan left the village to join society. Years pass as more people in the clan leave the village to get a new life and to have a new life, leaving only a few families to remain in the clan. The head of the clan, Hisashi Uzui, is the husband of his three wives, one of these wives being Izuku's mother, Inko Uzui. As soon as Izuku got his quirk, he was happy, but his father was happier. Finally having one of his kids has a useful quirk that isn't completely useless. Some of them didn't even have quirks at all. Deku's quirk, called Sonic Disfiguration, gives him a superhuman sense of hearing called Musical Score, which allows him to read opponents' movements a lot easier and deconstruct them into sound, and reading the rhythm of their movements. Through this, he is able to take advantage of openings with greater effect by striking like a beat to a song. He is also able to manipulate sound slightly by increasing or decreasing the pitch and loudness of said sounds around him, or the sounds around him. He is also able to damage people if the sounds go high enough or go to a high enough extent, and is able to increase his physical attributes slightly on top of his already natural god-like superhuman strength and speed. However, Hisashi wasn't a nice man. Not at all. He was a very strict and abusive, and a training session could turn into him beating you and calling it endurance training. So, Deku quickly learned to tolerate pain and almost became numb to it. He disciplines Izuku more than the rest of the kids, saying it's to remove all weaknesses and to strengthen him. Though you would expect him to try and bring the rest of his kids up to the same level as Deku, since their quirks are trash, instead of bringing Izuku higher and just leaving them in the mud. But who knows. For his shinobi training, he is also forced to build up a large resistance to poisons, so as not to be defeated by a tipped weapon or poisonous quirk or anything like that. Just no poisons can really affect him. This is also the same with paralysis and pretty much anything that could harm him through the bloodstream, so he can push forward no matter what. Due to this harsh training, however, Izuku has grown a lot stronger, being one of the physically strongest and fastest in the clan. His swordsmanship is nothing to shrug off either, being able to beat nearly everyone in the village. However, over the years, Izuku's family does also die out slowly, with them either being killed on missions or soon after from injuries or poisons. I did say they built up a resistance to poison, but they're not immune. If it is strong enough, or it isn't removed quick enough, or there isn't a cure, the poison could topple even the strongest of shinobi. Or they could also die of just die from being overtrained and dying from exhaustion or injuries. His family keeps getting picked off one by one until only Izuku, his older brother, his father, and his mothers are left in the small family they have. During this period, from when Izuku was 8, he started going on different missions, like escort, scouting, or assassinations. He became bloody good at it as well. Not that he enjoyed it though, but he definitely honed his skills to a fine point, finding that chain swords, 2 large blades with a chain connecting the 2 by the pommel or the butt of the sword, like in a nunchuck kind of manner, are his best fit, while using small explosives to scatter around while fighting, using his quirk to disorient his opponent and damage them with both explosives and sound waves. Or just damaging their eardrums in general. At the age of 12 years old, Izuku Uzui is massive, standing at 5'5", which, if you were wondering, it is gigantic for a 12-year-old Japanese kid. Like, normal Japanese kids are like 4 foot. This man is huge. Huge. But yeah, he is also being nearly the same shape, or body shape and bulk as Tengen has. He decides that he doesn't want to do this anymore though. He doesn't want to kill people for a living. He just wants to make a difference in the world. Not by killing, but by helping and saving. Most of his family doesn't agree with this, however. His mother is fully supportive of his decision, but his father and brother are fully against him. His father straight up forbidding it, as he claims that his family has already been stripped of the size, and he will not allow his prized possession to just get up and walk away from him. Izuku insists that he will leave with or without his approval, where Izuku's brother then steps in and states that if he wishes to leave so badly, they shall settle it with a fight to the death. If he is able to defeat him, he will be allowed to leave. With no other choice, Izuku has to accept as they go out to the kind of field. Facing opposite each other, Hisashi begins the fight as they charge towards each other, Izuku tossing out explosives as he disorients his brother, him swiftly attacking, but his brother quickly recovers as their fight continues. This fight is fierce and rough, but it is obvious that Izuku isn't going for the kill where his brother is. Seeing that he is completely outclassed by his brother, seeing that he completely outclasses his brother, Izuku quickly incapacitates him, letting him slump to the floor. Clearly winning the fight, Izuku is allowed to leave. Not without more protests from Hisashi, but what can he do? He clearly won, and this was the deal. Izuku takes his things and quickly leaves the village, going on a multiple-day journey through the trees and around the forests and just around other terrain before reaching a large city. When he walks around, he sees a man walk into an alleyway with multiple other shadier looking people following suit. He goes in to inspect the situation as the men threaten the guy to give him all of his belongings, etc, etc. Long story short, they're robbing him. Izuku is ready to step in and help out the fella, but before he can, the man flips the closest aggressor onto his back, straight up knocking him out. The other 3 are just completely stunned, but quickly snap out of it as the guy quickly disposes of the other robbers. Not killing them, obviously, but knocking them out. After this, Izuku approaches the man, exclaiming, "That was a very impressive and flashy takedown. Where did you learn those skills?" The man then turned to look at the boy. "Oh, well, young man, I do run a martial arts dojo, so it should probably be natural that I can defend myself, right?" He laughs, Izuku finding his voice to be very soothing and just puts him at ease. "Oh, is that so? May I come in and have a look?" Izuku questions, the man just making a gesture to follow him as they walk for about 10 minutes, getting to know each other. Izuku learning that the man's name is Kaguya Ubuyashiki, and it's a pleasure to meet him. They then make it to the dojo, which is more of a mansion than a dojo really, as they go in to see a few people around doing martial arts training in different some of them sparring, some of them just going against dummies or boxing bags or just other different training equipment. "Alright, food's here," Kaguya exclaims with the kids coming over to get food. They then greet Izuku and greet themselves to Izuku, who does the same. Kaguya then explains that this dojo is for multiple different martial arts, mainly centered around kendo, but also teaching karate, judo, and taekwondo, which teaches the kids how to defend themselves, or defends themselves in this world full of super-powered people. Kaguya then questions Deku on why he has a supply bag over his shoulder. He assumes full of just different supplies and probably clothes and living things. Deku then explains his situation, leaving out the bit that he is a shinobi that literally got killed to murder people. But he does explain that he is from an abusive family with a shinobi family background, so he does explain that his family has a shinobi background, but he didn't straight out, flat out say that he murdered people for a living. After hearing his story, Kaguya immediately offers up a bed in his house, which Deku at first declines, but after some heavy further persuasion, he takes up the man on his offer. A couple of days later, Deku is training outside with his swords in their wooden sheaths, so he does have wooden sheaths on his sword, so he doesn't straight up run around murder people when he's trying to knock them out or whatever. Even though he's skilled enough to do it, it's just a lot easier and a lot more fluent to be able to whack people with the wooden sheaths on than slicing their heads off. Even though you could probably slice them off with the wooden sheaths. He's just that badass. But still, back into it. So, Deku's training outside with his swords against a dummy when he looks behind him to see a crowd of quite a few kids around his age and younger, some of them even older, staring at him. Kaguya then walks up. "Oh, Izuku, don't mind them. They're just in awe of how good you are with the swords. Being honest, it's understandable coming from your background," he explains. "Oh, okay then. Watch and learn," Deku exclaims. He then goes ham on the training dummy. After a few minutes, quite a few minutes, probably about an hour or so later, Deku stops and sees just one girl left, sitting on the deck, just watching him. Are you okay?" he questions, the girl's face turning bright red. "Do you want to know how to use these?" he questions again, the girl just shaking her head slightly. I just want to watch," she explains. "Oh, okay then." As he starts practicing against the dummy once again. "What's your name?" he asks her while still whacking the dummy and going at it. It's Itsuka Kendo. What's yours?" she replies. "Izuku Uzui. It's a pleasure to meet you," Izuku exclaims. Over the next few weeks, Deku has been helping Kaguya with his training of the students and has become best friends with Kendo, pretty much. Her being his only friend, so it makes sense. her housing a mass load of feelings for him, and him liking her a lot as well. If I didn't explain this before, Deku and Kaguya live at the dojo / mansion, and Deku just straight up lives there. So yeah, like, and if you're wondering like what it is, it's literally the Hashira mansion. If you've seen Demon Slayer, which I'm assuming you have, like watching this, if you haven't, it's just a giant mansion with like a massive field, like just a big background for them to all train up and all that. But yeah, anyway, back on the story. I'm cutting it in and out a lot. A few weeks later, Deku finally goes to junior high, about halfway through the first year. When he was in the clan, he was pretty much being homeschooled, so he's not dumb in any standard. He still got taught stuff and he's smart. He got taught up probably even higher standard than what the schools teach. Yeah, when he arrives at the new school, his presence is immediately known and recognized, and just people immediately just straight up know he's there. Who wouldn't? He's a 5'5" gigantic behemoth of a man with his boisterous and flashy personality exuding out of him. It's very hard to ignore. Even if those traits are only just starting to surface, he's still very much a presence. Once he gets to class, the teacher brings him to the front to introduce himself. Alright class, this is our new student. Introduce yourself. As Izuku steps up. Greetings! I am Izuku Uzui, and you should feel honored to meet me. I hope that I will be able to feel the same about you when we meet. Further, he announces with great enthusiasm and flashiness, leaving the people confused on whether they should be mad at his kind of just straight up, like, I guess, stubborn and more just self-admiration attitude, or admire his self-confidence, if you could call it that. After that introduction, the teacher speaks up. Mr. Uzui, you're friends with Kendo, correct? You can go sit next to her, he explains. Deku looking over and seeing his friend sitting there waving at him, a slight blush across her face. Doing as the teacher told him, he walks to his seat and sits, the girl's face glowing a brighter and brighter red as he gets closer. The rest of the week kind of just goes on with Kendo following Deku pretty much wherever he goes and trying to show her affection without blatantly saying it. Not just at school as well, like at the dojo. At the dojo as well, just literally everywhere. After a month or so of this happening, Deku finally speaks up about it while they're at the dojo. Kendo, do you like me? He blatantly questions, taking her aback very much and turning her a bright red. I like you too, Kendo, Izuku confesses, grabbing her hand, her getting even flustered than before, but then calming down slowly. Another time skip of 2.5 years have passed as Izuku is 15 years old. Yeah, Izuku is 15 years old. Over this time, he and Kaguya have grown a lot closer, having a very much father-son relationship. Kaguya explaining his quirk being foresight and explaining how one of his relatives are a famous hero. The quirk is kind of different to Sir Night Eyes, as he is able to see any future events concerning him, but it can't go further than a week maximum. Over this time as well, Izuku and Kendo have grown a lot closer and started dating at the start of their final year of junior high. Deku is kind of preparing himself for the first day of high school as he's getting ready, as there's a as he's getting ready, there's a knock at the door. As he goes down and opens it, he sees Kendo, who brings him in to a kiss. After this, they say goodbye to Kaguya as they leave for school. When they get there, Izuku is getting a lot of stares, especially from the girls, as Kendo holds his hand very firmly. One of these girls who notice Deku is a tall girl with light brown hair, as over the next few weeks, or over the next few days of school, she learns more about who this guy is. After a few weeks, she goes to talk to him. "Hey you, tall hot guy," the girl calls out as she approaches, Deku turning around, kinda looking at her a bit confused. "What's your name?" the girl asks, pushing her finger on Deku's chest. You know it's rude to ask for a person's name before giving your own," Kendo remarks. You are so right, Missy. My name is Kami Utsumushi," the girl replies. "It's good to meet your acquaintance, Kami Utsumushi." Utsushimi. Sorry, messed that up completely. "It's good to meet your acquaintance, Kami Utsushimi. The name's Izuku Uzui," Deku replies. "Oh, Izuku Uzui. What a nice name," Kami replies with a grin across her face. "You have a fire inside of you, and I like that," Deku exclaims. Kendo kinda smiles and starts laughing uncontrollably. "What are you laughing at?" Kami asks, confused. Nothing. It's just... It's been a very long time since anyone has gotten him this excited, is all," Kendo says. "Come on, let's go to get to know each other more and more," Izuku exclaims with a devilish grin. Skip to their second year of high school. Deku and his girls do pretty much their normal things at school, but unbeknownst to them, really, they don't really notice it, they have a secret admirer. As they walk to the school exit, Kendo looks over her shoulder to see a girl covering up her face and run off. Before she can run off, she runs right in... I'll redo that. However, before she can run off, she runs right into Izuku, startled and covering up her blushing face as she goes to back up, before slipping on the still wet stone path from the rain the day before. Izuku catches her and pulls her close, smiling at her while Kendo and Kami run over to Izuku. "Are you okay?" Izuku would ask. Yes, I'm all right. Thank you for catching me, Izuku," said the shy girl. How do you know his name? Are we in the same class?" Kendo would ask. Or Kendo asks. No, we're not, it's just, who doesn't know who Izuku is? Who doesn't know Izuku? He's so amazing and the #1 student here, and he's just so, the girl would reply. "So what? Spit it out already!" Kami would yell. Kendo would glare at Kami before asking the girl what the girl's name is. It's Momoya Yurozu, right?" Izuku would exclaim proudly with a flashy smile. Yes, that's right," Momo would say, blushing and smiling, kinda under her face, covering her face a little bit. "Momo, why did you run away when I looked at you?" Kendo asks. "It's because I was scared to talk to Izuku around the both of you," Momo replied. "Momo, do you like Izuku?" Kami would ask bluntly. Momo's face would flash red. Momo's face just flashes red as she just notice her head and look to the ground out of embarrassment. Izuku then kneels down to Momo and says that she's absolutely gorgeous, along with being a bit shy, smart, and honest. Momo would look up at Izuku and he says, "I think you'd fit quite well with the other two. Why don't you become mine?" "Yes, absolutely!" Momo would shout as she embraces Izuku. That was a voice crack. Sorry about that one. Time skip to the final proper day of high school, where Izuku, who's the exact height and size of Tengen, he's pretty much Tengen. Like, he's just, yes. Yeah. So, Izuku is sitting in class, leaning back on his chair with his feet up while he's talking to his girls who surround him. They then hear the teacher walk in with papers in his hands. "Alright peeps, this is your final day of high school. Tomorrow, you're gonna be out there in the real big wide world, so I would hand out these career tests, but what am I kidding? I know most of you want to go through the hero track, and it seems our four best, Kami Utsushimi, Momoya Yorozu, Itsuku Kendo, and our very best, Izuku Uzui, are gonna try out for UA," the teacher explains as he throws the papers up into the air. "Now that's what I call a flashy entrance!" Izuku exclaims, slamming one foot onto the desk. "I'm glad I lived up to your expectations, Uzui. Anyways, as the rest of the class goes on and the end of the school day arrives, with Izuku and his girls packing their bags and preparing to leave. "Thank you, all my loyal followers and teacher. May the future hold good fortune for all of those who worshipped me as the Kami I am. The Kami of flashiness." Time skip to, like, the graduation day of high school, which is a couple days later. Everyone comes to the graduation ceremony. The teachers all give their speeches and hand out the diplomas. However, Izuku, Kendo, Kami, and Momo are all missing, as Izuku is dressed in a black kimono, waiting for his soon-to-be wives to finish getting dressed. All three girls come out dressed in all white kimonos, with different flowers in their hair. Momo has a peach blossom in her hair for her namesake. Kendo has a lilac for, to signify a deep love for her being Izuku's first. For her being Izuku's first. And Kami has a rose in her hair to signify her courage and beauty back when Izuku first met her. The first person that Izuku marries is Kendo, Izuku's first love and longest companion. His deepest love among anyone. He then marries Kami and finally Momo as the weddings come to an end. Izuku smiles all the way to all of his wives and holds them close, saying, "We're all family now, and I'll protect all of you with my life. Many things were picked for me in my life, as my path has been set in stone for me, as well as at least all of you are of my choosing." The wives all have tears running down their faces as they all kiss Izuku. On their way back home, a mugger runs towards Izuku with a knife. However, before anything else, Izuku takes his nunchucks out and with one strike KOs the villain, just leaving them there as he walks home with his wives as they ask, "What are we gonna do tonight on our honeymoon, Izuku?" I'm not sure if I can say this. Netflix and chill, my loves, Netflix and chill, Izuku responds. 10 months, the 10 months of training happens. Deku and his wives train their absolute hearts out at the mansion, getting better at hand-to-hand combat and incorporating their quirks into their fighting style. After the 10 months pass, the day of the UA recommendation exam is here! If you're wondering how he got in, he's literally the successor to one of the biggest and longest lasting shinobi clans in Japan, which isn't really saying much since there's only a couple people left in the Uzui shinobi clan. But that's fine. He is also married to Yayorozu. So yeah, he's getting into recommendation. There is no doubt about that. Even if he wasn't a successor, he'd still be getting in. Like, he's married to a Yayorozu. If Momo got in through recommendation, he's getting in. Pretty obvious. Anyway, sorry for the little rant. I'll get back into the story. All four of them get in, or get there, where Izuku does a very flashy performance, and they all get very high marks in the exam. Todoroki hates him. Just straight up, Todoroki hates the man. He hates his overall flashiness. He hates how just awesome he is. After a few days, they get their letters where all four of them are accepted and are in Class 1A. The four head to the class, however, this time they show up a lot, or this time instead of showing up a bit early as in the original story, they show up a lot later than usual, so Izuku can make a flashy entrance. They then stand in front of the door to Class 1A, as Izuku then kicks the door down, as Kami, Momo, and Kendo all throw smoke bombs in the room, filling it with smoke, as Izuku blitzes inside, standing on Aizawa's desk and shouts, "It is I, Izuku Uzui, the Kami of Flashiness! Bow to me as I stand before you, and remember my name, as I will be the one to stand atop the hero world in a flashy manner with my three wives, Kendo, Kami, and Momo. Remember us as the flashy deities. I am a Kami. You are trash." Aizawa just stands there with his eyes fixated on Izuku as he goes to try and restrain him. However, Izuku flawlessly avoids his capture scarf and just stays there on the desk the entire time. The entire class is speechless, as Izuku just dodged a pro-hero's attack without even looking. Deku would then hear someone speak up, seeing a boy with yellow hair. Three wives? Why would you need 3 wives? Before he could even finish his sentence, the kid gets a solid punch straight to the stomach, kind of knocking the wind out of him and pretty much knocking him out, as Izuku would just be there. He just appears there. He appears in front of him, as Izuku would just look up from Kaminari's limp body, a horrifying look on his face. "Anyone else object?" Izuku releasing a wave of bloodlust, making everyone shake their heads. Kendo would then motion towards Izuku to show him 4 empty desks in the spot. 4 empty desks where Izuku would sit in the middle, as Kami would sit on his left, Kendo on his right, and Momo behind him. Ida would yell at Izuku for being reckless in his stunt, as he feels a cold shiver overcome his body as he sees all 3 girls stare at him with intense bloodlust. This causes Ida to stop, sit down, and shut up very quickly, while Todoroki just sits there and grits his teeth in annoyance, while Izuku just sits there and grits his teeth in annoyance of having to share a class with the flashy idiot. Aizawa then tells everyone, "We're going to the training grounds to do a quirk aptitude test. If any of you get below a hero marking, you're expelled on the spot, no questions. I'm in a very bad mood today." Aizawa then glares at Izuku before getting up and walking out of class. A few minutes pass as they all arrive at the training ground. Mineta and Toru are replaced by Kendo and Kami. Mineta is still in Class B, however. Toru's just out. She's in Shiketsu. When they all get there, Aizawa throws a softball at Deku. Since you're the Lord of Flashiness or whatever, prove it. Throw the softball as far as you can with your quirk, he explains. Just don't step out of the circle. As Deku walks up to the circle, he reels his arm back as he then hears his wife's cheering for them. Go Izuku-sama! We believe in you! You're the best and flashiest here! Oh, goodness. Hearing these words of encouragement, these flashy words of encouragement, gets Deku fired up. Hearing these kind of words of encouragement pisses Aizawa off as Deku launches the ball. Aizawa cancelling his quirk, which does absolutely nothing, as it goes frickin' soaring into the air, getting, I'd say, 3,000 meters. It's quite far. Really surprising everyone, especially Aizawa. Him thinking that Izuku might have some sort of physical mutation quirk? Maybe? He doesn't know. Deku then turns to Aizawa. Mr. Teacher Man, you told me to go all out, yet it was you that deactivated my quirk. Is there any reason for that? Truth be told, I wasn't using my quirk because I wanted to see how far my physical strength could go. So give me another ball. I'll use my quirk this time. He explains and pretty much just demands. Aizawa letting him as Deku grabs the ball, enhances his body, and throws it 9,724 meters. Stunning everyone. If you're wondering why a specific number, why not? His wife's going absolutely mental. Yes, Izuku-sama, you're the best, Izuku-sama! The rest of the test is a breeze. Deku and his wife just smashing it out of the park. Deku getting first, obviously. Momo coming in second. Kendo coming in fifth, and Kami coming in sixth. After this, everyone is just straight up in awe of Izuku's strength and flashiness. Some people hating him and others feeling okay with him. Some of them just thinking he's awesome. Kaminari still hating how he's got 3 wives, but he can definitely admire his strength. After this, they go home and come back for the next day of class. While they're waiting for the teacher, Deku is leaning on his chair with his feet on the desk, talking to his wives before he's interrupted by someone approaching them. You think you're all that, huh? Deku looks in front of him to see a boy with spiky blonde hair and explosions crackling off his hands, approaching him. Just know, you flashy bastard, whatever we're doing today, I'm gonna kick your up. Before he could finish his sentence, Bakugo finds himself on the ground, near unconscious, with a foot on his face and a very sore stomach. I am here! Coming through the door like a hero! Deku looks up to see All Might leaning against the door frame into the class. Yes, that is what I call a flashy entrance, Izuku comments. All Might marching into the front of the class. Today, we will be doing Heroing 101, or Hero Basic Training. But first, get your hero costumes on, you bunch of newbies. As the class kind of goes and gets changed. Deku's suit is exactly like Tengen's getup. Like, he looks exactly like Tengen at the start of Season 2. He doesn't look like Tengen at the end of Season 2. He doesn't have a missing hand or a missing hand or eye. He looks like the start of it. There we go. But yeah, anyway, once they get into the training ground, they see Class 1B come in as well, as Kami makes a snarky remark. Oh, look at this. More lambs for my darling to slaughter. Ignoring this, All Might explains. Okay, since the 4 of you are so confident in your abilities, Class 1A and Class 1B will fight against you. Hearing that everyone is going to fight against these 4 people, some of Class 1A are absolutely terrified to take Izuku's wrath. Some are confident since it's 2 classes. Like, there's no way. He's strong, but there's no way he can defeat 2 classes. And the entire Class 1B thinks this is a joke. Izuku is absolutely eccentric. He is fizzing. He is just waiting to pummel these kids into the ground. Not even needing, like, he just, like, straight up tells his wives just to sit there and relax. Like, don't even worry. I'll sort this. Once they prepare themselves, All Might signals them to start. Izuku pulls his swords off his back. Scabbards on them, obviously, so he doesn't kill the entire class. And the poor kids didn't even stand a chance. As in the first 10 seconds, nearly 80% of the students are knocked out or just straight up on the ground railing in pain. Seeing this, half the remaining students wet themselves as Bakugo goes in to attack Momo. Before he can, however, he gets a fist to the stomach, knocking the wind out of him and knocking him out. His chest just red as it's steaming. As Deku throws his unconscious body towards Kaminari, who was going in to shock Deku, but shocks Bakugo instead before getting crushed and shocked himself, knocking him out. Pretty much knocking himself out, being honest. Shoto tries to blast Deku with a wave of ice, but it's shattered as explosives go off all around him, blasting the ice away and deafening the surrounding people, as Todoroki is knocked out. Soon after, the rest of the students fall to Deku's flashiness as he wins, without the girls even needing to lift a finger. Kinda shock, All Might finishes the lesson and lets everyone go home. Izuku, you did a great job beating them in record time, so we're gonna reward you tonight. Flashly. Kendo whispered with a smirk in Izuku's ear. Days pass, the class president kind of thing happens. Izuku get it, like, I'm just gonna skip through this. Izuku gets it and acts like a flashy Kami. He's just a G.O.D. legend. He also does sort out the break-in with all the whole, like, people freaking out about the press. He just tells them, yo, it's the press, and they were like, okay. That pretty much happens. A few days pass as Aizawa declares they will go on a trip to an off-campus facility to do rescue training. As they get on the bus, Izuku is sitting as Momo is on his left, Kendo is on his right, and Kami is on his lap as they're all talking. Sue doesn't even bring up the topic of who's the strongest, because that's obviously Ojiro. After about 20 to 30 minutes of driving, the bus stops at a gigantic building where they are greeted by the space hero 13. She then explains everything about the exercise to the students, where Izuku would then stop and ask, are there supposed to be other people in the building? Building, that's a question, not a statement. Are there supposed to be other people in the building? 13 would stop immediately. That building is completely empty, I can promise that, 13 replies. I can promise you that you are wrong, after all I can hear them all inside, Izuku would exclaim. The students entering the building and passing through the door, ignoring Izuku and 13, as the doors begin to close. Izuku rushes past 13 and is on his guard as the villains start to appear, with Aizawa starting to sweat. I can't protect all these students by myself, with 13 outside. I'll get overwhelmed fast. Aizawa thinks to himself. Before he could kind of rush in, Izuku would kind of put his hand on his shoulder, saying, I'll take care of these villains. Just keep my wife safe, Aizawa-sensei. Immediately rushing in and drawing his swords, cutting kind of the villains, gutting them to prevent the ones from the gunquirks from killing the people behind him. Blazing a path through the villains and appearing before Shigaraki and Nomu with one fluid motion. And appearing before Shigaraki and Nomu with one fluid motion. He throws off and flicks off all the blood off his swords and smiles at them, eager to put an end to this pointless attack. Shigaraki then asks, Where's All Might? Izuku would grit his teeth before he could move. However, All Might breaks down the door with 13 and yells, I am here! Now face me, villains! Nomu would then blitz past Izuku, knocking him to the ground before grabbing Aizawa by the feet and using him like a mace or like just a stick to hit All Might with. Then throwing Aizawa away as All Might punches the Nomu into a more open space to continue the fight. Shigaraki explaining to All Might that it's no use, he's going to die. The Nomu was made to kill him. It was made to kill All Might. Kendo, Kami, and Momo all run over to Izuku as they're worried about him. The villains surround the students and Izuku raises himself from the ground as he remembers everything about his past, his training, the abuse, the determination he had to win as to surpass everyone. His body's movements become faster, sharper, and more fluid as he dashes towards the rest of the villains, slicing them up and incapacitating them. Not knocking them out, incapacitating them. Finishing off most of the villains as he hears a loud smash to his side, beside him, looking over to see All Might with a large gash across his chest and him breathing heavy. Being able to breathe properly and steam coming off of him. Before the Nomu appears in front of him, slapping All Might into the water. Before it could chase after him though, its legs are sliced off as Izuku goes to town. Izuku Uzui goes to town, slicing up its tendons and kicking it towards Shigaraki, it flying past him and smashing into the ground. Seeing this kid just slice up his Nomu, Shigaraki gets mad, starting to scratch his neck. Nomu, kill that brat! The Nomu, getting its new command, charges towards Deku, handles coming out of its ribcage before pulling out two blood-looking sickles and slicing towards Deku. Deku parrying them with relative ease, while throwing small explosives at it to disorient it. But that soon changes, as it brings up the heat, going faster and faster, making it harder and harder for Deku to dodge and block, forcing Deku to jump back. First form, roar! As he lifts his swords up above his head and slams them down with great force, while simultaneously creating an explosion with his bombs to deal massive physical damage on the Nomu, causing a loud sound, amplified by his quirk, resembling thunder, deafening everyone temporarily around him, and pushing the Nomu back as a result. Seeing this as an opportunity, he then jumps up and stabs the Nomu in the chest. It's not affected at all, as it slices down towards Izuku and slices down at Izuku. Deku pushing off its chest and pulling his sword out and flipping off the creature, his back getting sliced up in the process, or getting sliced, just one gash, sliced, kind of, his back getting a gash across it in the process. You're dead now, kid. The Nomu has a poison quirk. There's no way you can live through that. You're gonna die. Shigaraki explains, only to hear Deku burst out laughing. Ha ha! Due to my shinobi training, I am flashily resistant to poisons. That trick won't work on me. Fifth form, string performance. Deku taunts, holding one of his swords in a reverse grip, spinning the other using the chain that connects them, releasing numerous bombs to detonate around them, causing great explosions that, combined with his quirk, deal massive physical damage to the Nomu and other kind of villains that try and attack him. As he runs towards it, Deku tries slicing off its head multiple times, but it's always blocking just in time. They both then start going ham as slashes and explosions start going off all around them, stopping anyone from getting close. If you're wanting an image, it's pretty much that final kind of confrontation between Tengen and Gyutaro in episode 10 of season 2, I think. But yeah, that's pretty much kind of what it looks like. But yeah, the Nomu then goes into overdrive as it gets faster and faster and goes harder, causing Deku to go on the defensive. Fourth form, consistent resounding slashes. Deku holding his swords apart, spinning them rapidly in conjunction with releasing his bombs, creating massive explosions while defending himself from the Nomu's attack. He then throws a bomb towards the Nomu, hitting it square in the face, stunning it temporarily. But that's enough time for Deku. As the beast swings its blades down towards Izuku, he jumps up, slicing both its hands off before spinning around and slicing the Nomu's head clean off its shoulders. As the Nomu's body falls to the ground and the fight is over, Deku falls to one knee, breathing hard while his wives run to his aid. As Deku looks at them, he sees that Kendo isn't with them. When he looks up in front of him, he sees that Kendo is attacking the main villain with the hands across his face. Yeah, but the main villain with hands on his face, with a portal forming in front of her and a hand about to grab at her face. Deku, seeing this, has an immediate fear in his eyes as he blitzes towards Shigaraki, and in one movement he calls out, "Kendo!" Izuku cuts Shigaraki's right hand off and kicks him into the wall before grabbing Kendo and jumping back, pulling her to safety. Izuku then glares at Shigaraki with anger in his eyes. "I swear upon my name, Izuku Uzui, that I will take your life. I will slay you." Izuku would shout. The others around him would see that his smile is gone. Nothing but pure rage is on his face. The bloodlust coming from him was too heavy to withstand. Izuku runs towards Shigaraki, but before he could reach him, however, Kurogiri would warp gate him away, leaving the USJ. Izuku would look everywhere for them, finding all the remaining villains beating them within an inch of their life. "Where are they? Tell me! Where is he run off to?" Izuku would shout while beating every single villain, looking around to not see any more villains standing. Feeling the blood drip from his hands, the probe heroes stand there in shock after seeing the strength of Izuku and how serious he can be before he falls down, collapsing from fatigue and the poison. He is immediately rushed to the hospital and is treated for the poison, and is expected to make a full recovery. However, he is put on light duty for the foreseeable future. They're given a few days to recover, with Deku having to rest a lot. The first day back, Aizawa announces that the UA Sports Festival is in a couple of weeks, so they have to train. But Izuku is not permitted to attend due to his injuries. Hearing this, the class is relieved that they don't have to fight that monster, but Deku is not, calling BS on that, his wives having to calm him down. The students are not blocking the doorway as well. Like, at the thing, they're not blocking the doorway since Class 1B warned them about Izuku. So, they kind of don't go up to him. Monoma still tries to square up with Deku, though. Only to get his head slammed into a wall, knocking him out and putting a giant hole in the wall. They're then given 2 weeks off, but since he isn't allowed to participate or do any extensive physical activities, so instead he does light training and mostly helps the wives with their training and rewards them with their daily dose of vitamin D. The day of the sports festival arrives, with Deku flashily cheering on his wives and encouraging them flashily as much as he can. With Momo getting third equal with Ida, her being able to beat Tokoyami this time, and everyone else apart from Bakugo, who still beats her. With the girls getting lower placings in the 1v1, Bakugo still wins. A couple of days pass as Aizawa walks in explaining that they have internship offers. Izuku having one that he will go to since they were so persistent. Hearing about his heritage and etc. and his strength and just how powerful he is. He looks to see that the rabbit hero Mirko has given him an offer and asks his wives who they're going to go to, in which they tell him it's a surprise, which makes him giggle a little. Or chuckle. Wouldn't be really a giggle. Giggle's not flashy enough. Chuckle. After a few days, they go to the train station where Izuku asks again whether they're going to tell him where they're going to go, which they just tell him that they're all going to the same hero. That's it. Which kind of annoys him, but he's excited for the surprise. After a small train ride, Deku arrives at Mirko's, where she introduces herself. "Hello, Izuku Uzui. I am absolutely stoked to have you here. Are you ready to get into tip-top shape?" She questions, Izuku already liking this lady. "That is what I call a flashy introduction, lady." Her then taking him out to a training area where they spar for hours on end, doing this for a few days. Deku is able to keep up with Mirko. Like, he's able to probably keep up with All Might. That's not surprising. No, he's not. All Might could slap him. But, yeah. He's able to keep up with Mirko easily. After a few days pass, Mirko has another idea. Track down and defeat the hero killer Stain at Hosu City. While Deku is arriving in Hosu City, Ida is already on the trail of the hero killer to get revenge. On his route, he sees something strange as he heads over to inspect the alley as he sees the hero killer and immediately rushes at him before he can attack, Stain then throws knives into Ida, while following up with a kick to the stomach, flooring Ida and licking his blood. Ida is unable to move as Stain stabs Ida in the spine, severing it as Ida will let out a huge scream. Before either of them could react, however, explosions go off all around them as Stain has just enough time to jump off Ida and leap back as a gash appears across his chest. He's about to ask who is attacking him, but he doesn't have enough time as a foot kicks him in the face. First form, roar! As Izuku slams his swords down, using the roar technique, with Stain only just able to dodge it as a large explosion occurs, simulating the sound of thunder. Izuku would look at Ida, noticing he has a wound very deep, and he's losing blood fast. Mirko would then appear and look at Ida and Native before hearing, "Mirko Sensei, please take care of these two. Well, please take these two to a hospital. I'll cover your withdrawal." From Izuku. "Alright, you flashy brat. I'll do just that, so make sure not to lose, and I'll be back soon," Mirko would reply. Stain would look at Izuku and smile, thinking that this man has a spirit of a true hero. "I see you fight with swords as well. Well, how about we make this interesting then?" Stain would ask. "Interesting how?" Izuku replies. "A true fight without either of us using our quirks. Just our own strength and weapons we have on us." Stain would answer. Izuku nods at Stain as he draws his swords. Stain prepares himself as Izuku rushes him, the sound of clashing blades echoing in the alley. The two of them seeming perfectly matched until Deku breaks through Stain's sword, following through with a kick to the stomach, knocking the wind out of Stain. As Stain looked up, he couldn't see Izuku until he looked up, realizing at this moment I'm not gonna say it. He messed up. As Izuku slammed the butt of his sword into Stain's face, fracturing his skull, breaking his nose, and knocking out about 15 teeth from Stain's skull. Winning the fight and tying up Stain, taking off every single weapon, like checking everywhere. But yeah, so he just ties him up, checks all the weapons, waiting for Mirko to return. And that is where we're going to end this part off. I hope you guys do enjoy. The next part should be out very soon. It'll either be out my next video or next Monday. I want to get this series done. It was originally supposed to be a movie, but I underestimated how long this would take. So this should be out either Thursday or next Monday. It will probably be next Monday. But yeah, anyway, I hope you guys did really enjoy this part. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, all of that jazz. And yeah, just thanks again to my boy Crown Fiend for helping me out with scripting this and helping me out with the thumbnail as well. He helped me out with that. He didn't make it, but it was a combined effort. He's not taking all the credit. But yeah, so there we go. Just another thanks to Saints, all the music down in the description. Check that all out. And yeah, that's about it. If you have any comments, put them down in the comments below. Anything you want to have a chat, I'll chat. I check all the comments. I probably check either hourly or at least once a day. I check. So no matter, I will see your comment. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy this. And yeah, just remember, God is awesome. You guys are too. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.